Welcome back to the Metal Lounge. It's Friday, and here at Metal Lounge Studios, we're preparing for the weekend. Grab yourself a drink and join us as we chat shit about all things metal.
So, I'm really excited today because you know what day it is?
The day we're filming this, or the day it's coming out?
It's Falling in Reverse release day. Popular Monster drops today.
Okay.
And I know it's not Friday yet for us, but by the time we drop this video, it'll be out.
Yo, man, don't let him in behind the curtain. I mean, no, it's Friday. It's definitely Friday. I said
totally
it in the
Friday.
intro for us. I said it's Friday.
It's totally Friday right now.
Okay, yeah, so it's Friday right now. And Popular Monster's already out, and we're really enjoying it.
I've heard it already.
Anyway, sorry, you were saying.
All 4 new songs are out anyway, because most of them has dropped as singles, but yeah, so I know they're not your favourite band, but you can't deny how popular they are in the scene right now. The album Popular Monster, what's your thoughts on it all?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what people think of it. I mean, all I've seen, I haven't really listened to the singles. I've like begrudgingly heard clips here and there.
Yeah,
like,
I've forced it upon me.
It's been forced upon me by the algorithms as well. Yeah, no, I get the feeling it's going to be a big one, but like as you know, we sort of spoke about a little bit before off camera, as you just mentioned there as well, they released most of it beforehand as as singles. So I guess you said there was 4 new songs.
4, but one of them's an intro. It's called Prequel.
3 new songs?
Yeah, 3 full songs. But
how long's the track list? Do you remember how many songs in total?
I think there's just over 10. I think there's like 11, 12.
That's kind of like, to me, if I actually like Falling in Reverse, that would kind of annoy me a little bit.
Yeah.
Like
the overarching mood of like on the comments on social media I've seen is people a bit annoyed, like, oh, 4 tracks, like I hate it when bands do this. And it's been compared to Bring Me, like they delayed their albums so they could give the listeners a bit more on that present.
That's like a 16 track
like
album
Christmas morning when like your favorite band drops an album, it's like, oh, I can open my presents, like I've only got 3 presents. But if they're main presents, like to be honest, like I whenever I hear a new album, I find it hard to digest the whole album anyway.
Interesting.
Like I think that having 3 songs is a good amount. I think any less than that, then yeah, but 3 is like, it's sort of the bare minimum.
I think 3's pushing it, because like if a band released a new EP with 4 songs on it, you'd have more songs than a 3-track album if you look at it from that perspective. I feel like back in the day, it used to be like, an album's like 12 songs and 5 of them are singles, so you get like half singles at most, half new tracks. Like that I feel like is the maximum for me. You can choose to not listen to the songs. I tried to not listen to many of the Bring Me singles because I just like, I always wait till the album comes out so I enjoy it in context. There's nothing I hate more than like overplaying a few singles, and then when I get the album out, I'm always like skipping those songs, so I'm annoyed, I'm like fed up of hearing them. But yeah, I feel like there's sort of it's a tough one, because I get why they've done it, but at the same time, you could have stuck a couple of more songs on them, especially if it's only 10 or 11 tracks. Like,
I think when you're in the position that Falling in Reverse are, where they're so big, it's like you're never going to make everyone happy. It's like, you know, they want to release songs gradually throughout the year to be relevant and to get into the mainstream, but they're so high profile now that, you know, they're going to be scrutinized with every decision they make. But yeah, like I think that you know, that they've got a lot of tours announced, so people are going to get to see them live. Like I'm going to see them for the first time in November. I'm super excited to see them in UK. Like it's the first time he's been let into the UK.
I was going to say the reason you haven't seen him before.
Yeah, he literally wasn't allowed. But yeah, I'm really excited to see those songs. And you know what, the singles that have released are so good, a bit like Bring Me, but I actually think the Falling in Reverse singles are better for me personally. Like they've stood the test of time for years. And you know,
so on this album, what's like the oldest single that's coming out?
2021, I think.
Jesus, 3 years.
Yeah, and it's the one that's named after it, Popular Monster.
I feel like, and once again, I get why they've done it from like a commercial perspective, but I feel like if you're releasing an album and you've got a song you released 3
Bring Me
years
did the same
ago
thing.
On it.
They had some from 2021.
I love that either. To be honest. I feel like an album should be mostly new songs, and it should be like, if you dropped a single, if you re-record it or like re-add like a guest vocalist or something, I'm cool with it being on an album. But if you release it as a standalone single, a lot of bands do. They release the same song so many times. You release as a single, then you release it on a as the B track of another single, then you release it as an EP, then you release it as an album. The bands have
been doing this for so long now, though. Like look at Spirit Box. They didn't really get scrutinized that much. Like when by the time Eternal Blue came out, they released songs like 2-3 years ago. The same Bring Me and Falling in Reverse had. By the time it came out, they had like four new songs.
They did
They had like Holy Roller, Circle with Me.
Circle with Me was always came out on the same.
No, it didn't. It was before. It was a single that dropped.
But like
literally
within
all the best songs that I listened to
within a few months.
It was years. It was years, man.
How long do you think they've been around for, man?
Like 2021, I think. There's Holy Roller came out.
Jamie, pull this up. I'm actually going to take a break. We're going to get the camera.
I've got my phone here actually.
Right,
let's have a look.
I think you're wildly wrong. I think Circle With Me came out the same year as the album, if not 6 months before.
Yeah, but it's still released before. It's a bit like one of the last songs.
But everyone releases the singles before. I mean, you release your singles like 6 months before, and then you release the album like between up to 6 months before, 3 months before.
Let's have a look.
Holy Roller got redone because they did
I think they really took the piss.
They did the single.
Okay, so I've got it here. Holy Roller came out in 2020.
Yeah.
And the album didn't come out till 2021.
So
but late 2021, it came out September.
I think that's the only single not from 2021.
Then it had Constance 2020, Circle With Me 2021.
2021.
Which was April. Then they had... Is Rotoscope from that? Or?
No.
Oh, okay, it's not as bad.
I feel like you're acting like a band releasing a single 3 months before their album is like not done. Most bands release like 3 or 4 singles in the year or so before. I'm okay with that. It's like 3 years. The Holy Roller one, yeah, but I think that's because they did a version without Leo on it for some reason.
Yeah. To be fair, it wasn't as bad as I remember looking back at the...
Uncalled for. Spirit Box hate there. I had to defend them.
Well, no, it's still a Waterfall release though. They still released a song like a year before.
I think that's
over a year.
I think
before.
That's fine. What I'm getting at, you can release a single and then an album. Why I think bands do that, like, I get why they do it.
Sleep Token do it as well. They're one of the biggest bands, and they don't really get scrutinized for it.
They released a lot of singles beforehand, on the last album, but they're not doing what I'm talking about. They released like single, then they released it on an EP. Throne did it recently. They released a single, then another single came out, and that single was the B-side to that single.
No, Spirit Box did that. That's why I think like it came up as an EP. Like when Circle came out, had Holy Roller and that on it.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
They still game the system where it's
that
kind of
annoys me a little. Well, it doesn't annoy me because I get why they do it from a commercial perspective, but it seems quite uncreative and unartistic. It's like, a band's released the same song 4 times now on like different mediums.
You know what? I'm pretty sure they've deleted some of these singles because I'm pretty sure I heard Secret Garden. I swear that was a...
That was a single as well.
That was a single, they've deleted it. So Secret Garden was a single. So how many? 1, 2...
being a single's fine. Having multiple singles, we've got to clear that up. Having multiple singles is fine.
Wasn't Yellow Jacket a single as well?
No,
just before.
No, Sam Carter features in that sort of. Okay. Yeah, it's not a single.
Okay, so it was only like 4 or 5.
Pretty normal release schedule, I think.
Well, no, it wasn't normal because like I feel like that was one of the first Waterfall albums I was like really excited for that was dropped like a lot of singles before the album.
I'm confused where you're getting the idea that bands don't release singles before their albums. I mean, that's why they've been doing that since like the 70s. That's like the normal way music gets released. You do like 3 or 4 singles before the album comes out. That's fine.
I don't know.
What I'm specifically talking about is when bands re-release it. So the Throne example that is like you have like a single, right? Then you release another single, and then you do like a B-side of the two together. It's an EP, and then you do another EP. I think Throne had a song where it's on like 3 EPs. They had a 3-track EP, then a 4-track EP, then a 5-track EP, and now all those songs are on an album, and I'm just like I'm a bit bored of like you've released the same song so many times. Just have 4 or 5 singles and release an album. Maybe that's because I'm an old head talking about it. But like it's so uninteresting when a band's like a new EP out. I'm like, oh sick. Oh, it's just the 4 singles you already released.
I don't think they're ever labelled as EPs, but it's like the new songs out.
The Throne one was, and that's like really? It's literally called like the Guilt EP or whatever, and it's like something Nights EP, and it's like I'm like, fine, but like this isn't. You're not releasing any new music.
I think it's just like to boost the algorithm because it's like if you leave it on, then it kind of circles through the album, doesn't it?
It does. I get it. I also really like those bands, and there's no shade tools. And the Plot and You have been doing it a lot recently as well. They release like the volumes and stuff.
I agree with Falling in Reverse though. Like they have kind of like pushed it to the max now.
Is like kind of crazy.
I think it's 3 years.
I feel like at that point you should just like leave it as a single and like do another album. Like you can leave songs just as singles that aren't on albums.
But I suppose they've lost that Falling in Reverse's defense, like that was their biggest song they've ever done. That's put them into the stratosphere. They kind of owe it to that song to be on an album, and also capitalize off the single success. It's got 367 million.
Don't get me
plays.
wrong, man. Commercially, I get it. Just artistically, I'm not a massive fan of it.
It came out 2019.
Yeah, 2019. Yeah, fuck 2019. Off. You can't have 5 years.
Fucking hell. Like at the end of 2019.
Yeah.
November 2019.
You give Spirit Box grief for releasing a single 3 months before.
Yeah, I didn't realise it was that bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
I get it.
You know what? I love that song so much though. I'm glad the album's named after it. Like I think that song is so good.
But then you go and pop an album on and you're like, oh yeah, brand new album. Oh yeah, the first song one I've heard for the last 5 years.
But the thing is, like, I kind of like my expectations are set now. Like I know about it. Whereas with Bring Me, it was a bit
kinda
like
boring. I can't wait for Linkin Park to come back and put Numb as the lead single for the new album. Only 21 years ago.
Mike put out one of the classic like tweets of like big things coming soon.
Yeah, that's gonna be his personal stuff.
Yeah,
it's not
probably.
Linkin Park. Everyone's so sure they got a female singer. I heard someone tweet about it, and it's like, no, they.
You never know. Like,
I do pretty confidently know.
Okay, you got ends with Linkin Park.
Yeah. I got it. It's called Common Sense. But yeah, no, he'll do another thing. He's like, interestingly enough, he did like a whole EP out of the same song, but actually made it kind of interesting. He did that Already Over song. He released like a 6 or 7 track EP where like 5 of the songs are the same song, but they've all had like different remixes, or like I think one was called like the Crimson version. Like it actually kind of worked, like having the same song multiple times.
Yeah, I don't hate that if the remixes are good, but I find like remixes are so like bad most of the time.
They weren't like
I can't remember the last time
remixes.
I heard a remix and I'm like, oh, that's great. I like what bands are doing at the moment, and Spirit Box kind of like, well, they didn't start it, but recently in recent history of like modern metal is they'll remix a song with a different vocalist, like Rio from was it Crystal Lake is on Holy Roller, and then like Brand of Sacrifice did it with We Came as Romans on their song. I really like that, where it's got like, it's not a remix, it's kind of like
reimagining
a reimagined version of the song with a different singer and maybe slightly different production. So like I think We Came as Romans have a song called Dark Bloom. I think that one they made it more deathcore, so it's like they're a metalcore band and then they got a deathcore band, Brand Sacrifice. It's so cool.
That's sick. One of the things I miss bands doing more is like acoustic versions of songs. I used to really rate acoustic.
Actually, I used to hate acoustic versions.
I love an acoustic version. Really, acoustic hater.
I'm an acoustic
Spirit
hater.
Box and acoustic
I
music in general,
like,
catching strays out here.
I was just putting them in the same bracket as Falling in Reverse, but now we've looked at the data. Like, yeah, you're right.
Take it back, man.
I'll take it back.
Look at that camera and apologise to Spirit Box.
I apologise, Spirit Box. And also, Roddy's pissed at Spirit Box. Did you hear?
Oh, I bet
did you hear about what happened with them?
Now?
Spirit Box were playing a Falling in Reverse, and their laptops died or something, and they couldn't perform. And Falling in Reverse lent them loads of gear so they could play the show. I think it was at a festival,
right?
And then they made like, not friends, but they were like, oh, thanks for helping us out. Ronnie was like, okay, I've got my tour coming up, I'll have Spirit Box on it. Their fans went mental. They were like, we do not want you to play with Falling in Reverse. I remember this. And they just like they I think they got their managers just to pull out. There was not a word to Ronnie at all. There's just no like respect at all. Just pulled out without just because of the fan reaction. Like they were up for playing it, and then they saw like the fan backlash. They couldn't handle the backlash. I guess couldn't handle the smoke.
That's what you get when you cultivate such a personality online. It makes everyone hate you so much. People aren't going to want to be associated with it. Well, Taylor's old as time. Bad people don't want to be associated with bad press. Like you don't want to be.
I think
infected.
That looks bad on them, to be fair, though, because it's just like because they already agreed to do it, and then they were like, okay, we're not going to do it now.
I mean, they shouldn't have accepted it in the first place.
Yeah,
really.
exactly.
I know on the same tour, Ice Nine Kills got a lot of flack for do it. I think they're on the same tour or a similar tour with Falling in Reverse, and Ice Nine Kills got the same sort of like, oh, why are they playing with Falling in Reverse? But then I love Ice Nine Kills, but they're like become the ultimate commercial band. Like, they're all about making money now.
Do you know they're a limited company? I heard.
Are they?
Yeah,
that's not that surprising. Most bands are.
The singer owns the company, and he employs everyone as contracted stuff. And I heard that
none of them are original members apart from him.
That one of the members said the singer was crazy or something, and they had like a proper business meeting, and they interviewed him like a corporate job, and was like, oh, "We heard you said this about the owner of the company."
HR.
How crazy is that?
That does make sense. I think most bands are run as companies for like logistical reasons, but like I can imagine he gives me weird vibe. I really like Spencer, and I like the band, but he just does strike me as an odd individual. He like I don't know what to say this or not. Every time like there's like an Instagram like model or something, like I got followed by like every time I would get followed or I would see like an Instagram model, Spencer Charnas would always like be following them like, without like fail.
Really?
Like I don't know if I should be worried about saying
just
that.
as much as a perv as you.
They follow me first. Okay. I'm just checking. But like, I would literally look, and like the number of times it would say Spencer Inc. follows like the girls. I'm like, this is actually kind of worrying how often it is.
You know they're hot if Spencer follows.
Like there are like several people, like more than once I've like matched with a girl on Hinge or Bumble or something. I had them on Instagram, and Spencer from Ice Nine Kills is following them. Yeah. So interesting vibes. But I gotta say, I do love
I can see Ice Nine Kills.
I don't want to pull me into a HR meeting.
It's alright, you haven't signed the contract.
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah.
But I really see Ice Nine Kills as a band to watch, because like, I mean, you just have to look at their like stadium sellouts
as well.
But they're actually not as big as you think. Like they've got 2 million monthly listeners, which is about the same as Architects, who are massive as well. But if you think about it, like Falling in Reverse have nearly 8 million.
I'd say Architects and Ice Nine Kills.
Sleep Token have about 4 or 5. Yeah. So like we can tell Sleep Token are on the rise, but I think like Ice Nine Kills, I think they're only going to get bigger.
Yeah, they're more of like I think they fit a very similar niche as Architects in the sense they've been around for a while. Yeah, they're on their like 6th album now. 6th
been
album,
around the block.
Yeah. They've been a band. I mean, they started blowing up with the Silver Scream, which was like their 5th album, I want to say. 4th album, 5th album. Yeah. So like they're a band who's had.
They're doing albums really well, aren't they? Like for bands that are like releasing albums, like
the only thing people have like given them flack for, and I kind of agree, is they're doing the same thing. They sort of just milk the special editions rather than releasing new music.
But when they release an album, it's like a concept album. It has a vision,
and it's 15
and the
songs,
videos are amazing as well. I think that's why people let Falling in Reverse off a little bit, because it's like the content they release is so high.
If you put a lot of effort into it,
they're investing heavily. Whereas some bands just like release like a performance video.
Ice Nine Kills basically did like films for their ones. They had like storylines for their last 2 albums, and there's like 17-minute long versions of the videos where it has like a whole like 13-minute story.
How can you complain? Like they're living in paradise. Like those fans that are already into that.
But then it's like they do the thing where it's like big things coming, and then it's like bonus track, and it's like it's like another bonus version that has like 4 live songs on, or another bonus version that has acoustic songs, or another bonus version that has 1 new single. So the last album came out like 3 years ago now or something, and it's like, yo, release some new music. They're doing like collaborations with like PUBG or something, doing like weird singles and something like that. They did a single for like a game that's like not their style of music. They must have got
this
paid
is such a weird era if you think about it. Like, it's kind of like there's not really a tried and tested route for bands to go down. There's all these possibilities, and people are trying all these different things, and nothing's really sticking as like the main thing.
You've got that weird so I feel like bands like Falling in Reverse and like Ice Nine Kills, and I guess Sleep Token and Bad Omens very recently, have that really weird position where they're almost like leaving the alternative scene. I almost don't consider them alternative bands, because they're alternatively like sounding, but they're moving into more of a mainstream focus. And like alternative bands aren't doing songs to video games, like The Word Alive doing like the League of Legends stuff. Like that's not like, you can't be comparing
it's like Travis Scott playing in Fortnite
or something. It's like that commercial sort of vibe, and I get what they do it. I'm not necessarily hating on it,
man. Like,
well, exactly, but that's what makes it so weird, is they do become like proper like businesses rather than like bands, and it becomes you can watch the dynamic change in the way the bands like exist online and just exist in terms of the content they release. And like you said, there's not really a blueprint for it, because back in the early 2000s, the last time like metal was big, it was mainstream, especially in America. Like Slipknot, Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit were mainstream bands.
I suppose it has been going on though, if you think about it. Like when we're talking about old school video game soundtracks and stuff, like that was really futuristic for the time.
Early 2000s, that's what I'm getting at. Like back then, it's like it was mainstream. Like
Guitar Hero, like some of the bands in Guitar Hero.
It was mainstream. So that when you had the big bands like your Slipknots, your Linkin Park, they were mainstream. They were on TV, they were on talk shows. Like Limp Bizkit were on WrestleMania. Like they're in video games. They're like they're everywhere you go. It's normal to have alternative music playing. Whereas fast forward, say 10-15 years after that, complete opposite. You'd never hear screaming on TV. You'd never hear like anything even remotely alternative. You had like Imagine Dragons was the heaviest band that was popular, like in terms of like mainstream music. And now we're sort of like having a resurgence where heavy music's becoming mainstream again in a way. Like Bring Me the Horizon performing with Ed Sheeran at the wherever that was. Sleep Token becoming, that's what I think it was. Sleep Token, like Bad Omens, Falling in Reverse through TikTok are sort of becoming the mainstream again. Because like you talk about Falling in Reverse is like big numbers.
Well, if you think about the broader mainstream, they're still a very niche part of
100%. Well, yeah, but they're also much bigger than anyone else. Like, you have bands like Architects, right? Architects are one of the biggest bands in metal, I'd say. They're not even close to, like, you know, being like a mainstream contender, whereas bands like Falling Reverse are. Bring Me the Horizon somehow have like got to that stage as well. And it's really interesting. There's only like a handful of those bands who have made it there, because like, and
they've taken such different roads as well. There's not a blueprint. It's kind of like, it's just a synergy of different things popping off.
I feel like nowadays it's like social media is what gets you there. Back in the day, it used to be, you know, you do your CDs, you tour a lot. Like, they're the things that get you going.
That still works
you
to an extent.
You can maybe get like a viral thing in the sense of like, you have like a radio single, right? Like a band back in the day has like a big single. Like I'm trying to think of a band that had like a one hit, Trapped, for example, with like that Headstrong song. You have like one big single. You're like
POD Alive.
Yeah, exactly. You're big off like your
Billy
one
Talent, Red Flag.
Yeah. You're big off your one single, and that's like your sort of viral moment. But that's more like orchestrated by record companies and stuff.
Yeah, that doesn't happen as much
now.
Yeah,
I don't even know how, like, because it was Just Pretend for Bad Omens, and was it Chokehold for Sleep Token or something like that? They had like one song just go viral on TikTok, and now suddenly they're the biggest band in like the genre. Because Bad Omens they weren't no one, but they were tiny before that TikTok went out. When the album came out, I remember, because I listened to the album when it came out before they blew up, because I was aware of them and I really liked it. But like, it's not like they released the album and then they were huge. They released it and it was a normal Bad Omens release, and then Just Pretend went wild on TikTok a month or two later, and then it got huge. And it's really interesting how bands, and even Falling Reverse, who were a big band, they're still a big band before like the Popular Monster like kicked off and that. But I think social media is just launching these bands into the stratosphere.
Yeah, it's like they are going viral. It's like things that aren't like, it used to get videos that would go viral, like you still do, but like it would go like mega viral. Like, you know, you had like the weird trends that would go off, like I don't know, just like massive videos that everyone knew about. And now there's like it's harder to hit those peaks. And it's like, and now bands are almost getting viral as well. It's like, it's a different kind of success, but it's weird how it's still sustaining as well. It's not like a 5-second thing, like Not Loose even, like with their half off.
It really was that. It was that. And then they ended up on Coachella, didn't they? And somehow they're the biggest band in like metal.
I suppose like
in
most bands, you can pinpoint a viral moment that sort of like superseded.
But that's it now.
Success.
Nowadays, it's
even Bring Me the Horizon, their Can You Feel My Heart is their biggest song on Spotify.
It was a meme. It
was a meme, and it went viral.
Memes
on TikTok.
Get you further nowadays than like any sort of like tour package or like, you know, in like a marketing budget or whatever. It's
you can get
crazy.
On someone's phone. You can get on lots of people's phones.
That's literally that's like the key to success, which is absolutely wild. Well, that is how it works now. Bands go viral and you sustain. And I think there are a lot of bands who do like fall apart. Like there'll be bands who get huge and then they'll just like, they can't capitalize on it. I think I've noticed a real trend of like Instagram bands that just aren't good, and they play the algorithm really well. I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to like, you know, don't want to flame anyone, but there's a lot of artists and I see them do like almost like moderately well from it, and it's like they're not interesting in the slightest musically, really boring. There's once again, I'm not going to name specific, but there's one artist I've seen who I think they got to play a festival. I'm gonna be really vague here because I really don't want to like get negative attention towards it. But they were like,
just say it, man.
No, I'm not saying it. But their music is like terrible, like the most generic, like there's nothing to it. Generic pop rock. It's such a nothing thing. If they like tried to tour and stuff, everyone would be bored out of their minds because they got big doing Instagram and TikToks about like their personalities and their personal life. People support their music just because they like the individual. And we're seeing that sort of like YouTuberification of music where people care about the personalities. And I feel like that with Bring Me the Horizon and Falling Reverse and Bad Omens and Sleep Token, most of the fans care about the individuals more than the music. They love Ollie Sykes, they love Ronnie Radke. No, they love, but the Sleep Token fans love talking about the worship thing. They love talking about like Vessel.
They don't know who they are properly.
Yeah, but they love pretend. I'm in like a Sleep Token Facebook group because I got a ticket to one of their shows like 5 or 6 years ago, and I like was in a group for it, and I see them now and people are obsessing about it. They like write like fan fictions about them and stuff, and like talk about how sexy their hands are and whatever, and it's just like they're projecting all these like mental health things onto like Vessel and onto all the people in the band and stuff, and it's just like they care about the characters, the people in the band more so than the music itself. They care about the music as well, obviously. I'm not saying they don't, but it's like that parasocial relationship people get with YouTubers and that's really in music now. And I think every big band we're talking about is all because of that. If Bring Me the Horizon didn't have an Ollie Sykes, they wouldn't be as big. If Falling in Reverse didn't have a Ronnie Radke, they wouldn't be as big. It's the individuals behind them. Noah Sebastian and Bad Omens, like it's it's the same
he's
thing.
Off social media now.
Yeah,
he couldn't handle it.
I don't blame him. People are insane. I mean, some of the stuff people were saying about him, like, so I think that's a really interesting, like, nowadays it's less about the music. And it's not, because not those bands, they're quite good, but like you do have bands who are generic as shit. Once again, I'm not going to like name specific names. Even we know, we've spoken about before, like Friends of Friends, like having like bands who are bad, like generic, boring, nothing interesting, but because they've got money to the market and have like a social media presence, they get a following that way. It's not about being the best band anymore, it's about being the most marketable. There are still bands who do feel well.
Like you have to do, like, to get the bigger success, like the bands we said, like they all do the other things as well.
100%.
Like they've all like kind of been going a certain amount of time, they're touring, they're regularly releasing music, they got their head scred on, but it's like the perfect storm.
But it's interesting that you have a band like Ice Nine Kills or even Bad Omen's been around for like nearly 10 years now, or 8-9 years, and like it took them, you know, even the album, because once again, it's not like they released their album and everyone was like, this album's so good, we're gonna like give them what they deserve. It was one song went viral on TikTok, and I think I remember hearing a story that Noah said they wrote that song as like an example of how easy it is to write like a butt rock song really quickly or something. They just like shit out a really quick song, and they're like, oh, I bet this is the one that blows up or whatever, and obviously it ended up doing it. So it's just interesting that bands get that success from virality rather than like the grind. I'm not saying they don't grind for it, but you're almost now just grinding until you get your viral success, if that makes sense. And if you miss that, Bad Omens might still be like the same level they were before without it.
They might have,
which is interesting. Same with Sleep Token. Sleep Token's latest album doesn't really do anything the first two albums don't do. Like, it's the same. It's good, but it's still the same sort of thematically, genre wise, it's still pretty similar. They just now had that one song go massive on TikTok. For them it happened before the album came out, which helped, but like their first two albums, like from like their style and their music quality hasn't really jumped up anything from the first two albums. They just got lucky with the virality of TikTok. But it's interesting to see what the future holds for how music's going to be released.
I was going to say on the future of that, like, what's your sort of like predictions, and if you were to solve it, like, what is the blueprint for bands you would like to see and you think would be popular?
Well, what I like and what I think is successful, like the opposite things. I feel like I think the way it's working now, it's only going to go more down that route. I think the only way bands are going to succeed nowadays is play the social media game. I think it's only going to get worse. I think the more bands realize and the more they jump onto it, the more what's the word? The more saturated. That's the word. The more saturated it gets, it's going to get worse and worse. I feel like it already has. If you were someone hopping on Instagram 7-8 years ago and doing that sort of stuff, I Prevail, for example, doing Taylor Swift cover, blew them up. They did a Taylor Swift cover.
Facebook ads I Prevail. That's
Facebook
what I always think of.
Facebook ads, Taylor Swift blank
Facebook
space
ads
cover
made I Prevail.
It literally did, and they've capitalized on it. And I think
they're one of the biggest bands. Yeah,
exactly, man. They were one of the first to do it. Whereas now, you do a Taylor Swift cover and put it on Facebook ads. 100 of the bands have done that. Like, it's uninteresting. So like now, I think it's an even harder thing to break through, because there's like tens of thousands of artists and bands like constantly flooding Instagram and TikTok with is this the song of the summer? Playing this song to show to my showing my ex a song I wrote about them. All the fucking things are so like overdone. People like, you've seen the template so many times, people putting like a caption and then their song. People like, you know, they told me I'd never be anything, here's my song, da, da, da. It's all the same thing. It's already become so formulaic. I think maybe bands who break the formula might get there, but I don't know.
I think that if you think about the people that make bands successful, it's kind of a younger generation, and they're going to be, I don't think you're ever going to be not susceptible to videos like that. I think it's just going to be who can do them the best. It's going to get worse, and there's going to be who can think of a unique idea that people haven't done that's like, it's similar,
or just get lucky with the algorithm, which is what happens for a lot of people. I think consumers are getting more and more it's the TikTokification of everything. Attention spans are getting shorter. Short form content is king. Ironically, as we're recording long form content, cut this and put it into a short form clip.
That's exactly what we're going to do.
And all of our short form stuff is way better than our long form stuff, and it's the same for most people. And I think music's going that direction as well. Albums are getting shorter, songs are getting shorter. Songs now are like, you want sub 3 minutes. I mean, Throne, I keep throwing out Throne as an example, but they're like one of the most like obvious examples.
Spotify plant.
They are. Obviously they got people in the band who've been in like good bands for decades, so I give them the credit for it, and they do sound
like
good.
Buster.
it. But they have like the down to a T. It's like do 2-minute long songs, pay for Spotify placements on playlists to be played afterwards, and just watch the numbers go brrr. Like it's all you got to do. Like it's not really about like creating a masterpiece and hoping someone connects with the album. It's throw as many singles as you can out now and see what happens.
Algorithm.
Yeah. Well, I'm not too across it, but from what I understand from like a lot of rap and pop stuff, they do the same sort of thing. They have like just release like tons of singles, do like 20 song albums, just like no one's going to listen to the whole album. They just want the songs to pop off.
If you think about the way Spotify is, it's like if you're on your phone, it's like five songs at the top, and I'm guilty of it. Like I won't look at all their albums. I'm like, so if I'm not that interested, I'm like, well, what's the top 5 songs?
If you watch like my plays of like Spotify and Apple Music, nearly every song would have the same amount of plays. I listen to the whole album. That's how I listen to it. But I recognize that's not a popular way of doing it anymore. No. I speak to I
like to do it, but that's when I'm like actively listening, or I'm rating albums for the year, which I love to do. But like, or if I'm going back and I'm like, oh, let's listen to this album again. But how I discover new music is I'm sort of like my attention span is shorter for like newer bands I haven't heard of. I'm let's just see the most popular one because it must be good for whatever reason. Yeah. And that's how most people think. It's like a herd mentality.
You sort of wait for the buzz. Somehow the buzz gets brought up, and then someone goes, oh yeah, that band. For me, Boundaries, right? The latest Boundaries album. I knew of Boundaries, never listened to them. The new album comes out. There's a bunch of buzz around it. Everyone's going, yo, this is actually really good. You say, yo, the new Boundaries album's really good. I'm like, all right, check it out. And it's just that it's like word of mouth sort of thing still exists. But outside of that, I think we're going to see more TikTok and Instagram stuff just blow up.
Of course, bands are going to keep gaming the algorithm, doing social media. But like in terms of like formatting like singles and stuff, like do you think it's just going to be more singles?
100%. I wouldn't be surprised at some point if bands stop doing albums, or if it already is happening. Popular Monster, right? It's a bunch of singles they've just stuck on an album. Effectively, they're releasing 3 more singles. If they had just waited another couple of months, they could have released those 3 singles individually and do it all together. And I think that is the way it'll go. And I don't think there's a reason not to from a commercial perspective. Who cares about albums? No one buys albums anymore. No one streams albums anymore. You want singles on playlists, and that's it really.
It's like the best entertainment you can get is listening to one amazing single with a music video, or going to see that band live. It's like the people being bred now, like the iPad generation and stuff, like
iPad kids,
they're not like they're not waiting for the album.
Even our generation, like are starting our attention spans are getting rotted by
they're
TikTok,
diminishing by the second.
They literally are. Like I think we're gonna be, and this makes me sound like such a fucking boomer, but I feel like albums already on the way out, if not already out with younger generations. And I think the bands we like will keep it going for a while, but I don't see a reason to do like the old school way of doing like 2 or 3 singles and releasing an album. What's the point? You're wasting your money. You're way better off doing 4-track EPs.
Do you think then like I suppose the mood of what I've seen on social media about Falling in Reverse is still there, because like albums are so like dominant within like the industry. I do feel like there's got to be a little bit of a compromise.
I hope so.
Of how many?
But I just think it's going to. I think it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
That's what
I
think.
Saying. Maybe Falling in Reverse are
5-10 years
trying
time,
too much
like,
too soon.
Yeah.
But I think it's just eventually it will get to that point.
But also, if they had just stuck another like song or 2 on there, they'd have got away with it like easily. Yeah. Like, no one would have cared. It's just they just did as a bit taking the piss, like 3 new songs in an intro. But I've seen bands get pretty positive receptions to releasing 11-track album, 6-7 songs out beforehand. So I think that's the way it's going to go. Whether that's for the better or not, it's up to the individual. For me, no, I love an album. One of my favorite albums this year was that Capstan album. That's like it's like an hour and 12 minute or an hour and 20. It's an 18-track, hour and 20-minute album where only I think 4 songs were singles beforehand, and I fucking love it. I love sitting down with 14 songs I haven't heard before and like committing.
Do you ever actively listen to it though, or will it be like in the background?
Nah, but both.
Really?
I listen to music while working all day. I have like 8 hours straight of music, and then when I go for walks and stuff, I always have like an album I put on for my walk and that.
That's cool.
So that's what I do. But yeah, man, we'll see. Interesting to find out. I'm interested to hear from people. Like, what do you think is going to be the future of music when it comes to releasing? Do you like it being more short form? Do you like the long form stuff? Are you into albums? Do you prefer singles? Are you like, I wish bands would stop like wasting my time with all these non-singles? I don't know. It's interesting, and I wonder if there is an age gap with it. But yeah, like, let us know what you think about that, and just let us know what you think in general about the new Fall in Reverse album, because obviously it's out today. I'm sure Forrest will listen to it. I might begrudgingly.
I've already listened to it by the time this come out.
I'll begrudgingly listen to like the 3 songs maybe and see if they're amazing.
You never know.
But yeah, let us know. But as always, thanks for joining us here in the Metal Lounge. I've been Matt, joined as always by Forrest, and we'll see you in the next one.
Catch you later.
Oh, and like and subscribe.